Hello my friends, in today's video I would like to share with you a couple of tips on how to use your Nikon D5500 or D5600 and also other lower end Nikon DSLRs and how to take an advantage of the strengths of these cameras. So my first tip is to set up and use My Menu. My Menu is a customizable tab in your camera menu system, so you can use it to quickly access settings that are the most important to you. It is the last step in the menu and you can quickly set it up by Add Items, and then you can move the items up or down in the Rank Items menu. I highly recommend you to do this because there are some important settings that are missing from Quick Menu. Most notably, unlike any other camera that I've used so far, there is no option to set auto ISO on and off in the ISO settings. You need to access menu to do that, so I recommend you to put auto ISO sensitivity control into your My Menu and also the ISO sensitivity settings, because there you can set maximum ISO value that the camera won't go over in auto ISO. Instead, it will decrease shutter speed. Other items that I recommend you to put in My Menu are exposure delay mode, interval timer shooting, movie settings, and Wi-Fi if you use it. My second tip is to use Aperture Priority mode. That is kind of how D5500 and D5600 are meant to be used, because there is just one dial and pressing function buttons to change the functionality of the dial is not very convenient. Fortunately, thanks to great metering, it works very well in semi-auto modes. Camera exposes the scene correctly 99% of the time, and if you use RAW format, you can manipulate with pictures in a post a lot. In Aperture Priority, you have the control over the depth of field, and if you use auto ISO, camera will take care of everything else. If you need to shoot moving subjects, I recommend using manual mode, setting aperture and shutter speed, and let the camera take care of the ISO. My tip number 3 is to try out the back button focusing. Back button focusing means that the camera is no longer focusing when you half press the shutter button. Instead of that, it focuses when you press the AEL/AFL button. That gives you a bit more of a control over the focusing. Focus and recompose is also a bit easier with back button focusing. And probably the biggest advantage of back button focusing is that you can use autofocus continuous all the time and just release the button when you no longer want the camera to be focusing, which is not possible in autofocus continuous mode while focusing with half-pressed shutter button. Setting back button focusing is very easy. You just need to set AEL/AFL button on AF on and make sure that autofocus continuous priority selection is set to release. My tip number 4 is to use exposure bracketing. HDR bracketing is basically taking multiple shots of the same scene at different exposures and then blending the photos together in post. In bracketing mode, the camera takes one properly exposed picture, one underexposed picture, and one overexposed picture, and that means that when you put these pictures together, you will get higher dynamic range. So this is especially useful when a part of frame is well lit and a part of frame is in shadow, because you have more options to recover highlights and shadows. In camera, I recommend setting auto exposure bracketing to AE 2.0. I also made a tutorial on how to process high dynamic range pictures in Lightroom. It is for Panasonic cameras, but Lightroom part is exactly the same. My tip number 5 is to take an advantage of Nikon's lens selection. Together with image quality, lens selection is in my opinion the biggest strength of Nikon DX cameras. First step would be to choose the right kit lens or all-round lens. There is a lot of choices here, starting with the new AFP 18 to 55mm f3.5 to 5.6. Optically, it is probably not the best one, although for casual use it is more than good enough. It is very compact and autofocus works great on this lens. Then there is 18 to 105mm f3.5 to 5.6. That is my personal favorite because it is the sharpest one at 18mm. So if you mostly shoot at wider angles, but you still want to have solid focal range at your disposal, this is a great option. Also, the size to focal range ratio is good in my opinion. Then there is 18 to 140mm f3.5 to 5.6. That is a really good lens. It is just a tiny bit sharper in longer focal lengths than 18 to 105mm. There is a lot of ultra zoom lenses. Nikon makes 18 to 300mm f3.5 to 6.3. And then there is also new Tamron 18 to 400mm f3.5 to 6.3. Also the Sigma 16 to 50mm f2.8 is a great lens. Sigma 18 to 35mm f1.8 has hands down the best optical qualities, but the focal range is pretty short. Then I recommend getting a sharp prime lens. Nikon 40mm f2.8 macro is my most favorite one. There is also a review of that lens on this channel. I will put a link to that in the description. For telephoto, new AFP 70-300mm f4.5 to 6.3 seems to be a really good lens, and AFP 10-24mm f4.5 to 5.6 is good ultra-wide lens choice. I will make a review of those two lenses at some point. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope that you liked this video and that you found it to be useful. Stay tuned for more videos and maybe consider subscribing if you don't want to miss my future content. I appreciate your feedback in form of thumbs up or thumbs down. If you would like to ask anything or share your opinion, please do so in the comment section, and see you next time.